On August 23, 1971, who knew that a 22-month-old baby would see her family for the last time? After that unfortunate day, Melissa Highsmith was never to be seen in the light of day ever again. Melissa's mother, Alta Apantenko, left her in the care of a mysterious babysitter she had never met, and that was the last time she saw her daughter. The unknown babysitter, who reassured Ms. Apantenko, disappeared with Melissa, and nobody knew why. What would a babysitter kidnap a random child? Why did the babysitter target Melissa specifically? Most people have lost hope because most kidnapping cases have bad endings, but the ending of this one left the entire world shocked. Hi, and welcome back to Crime Case Files. We offer our deepest sympathies to the pain and stress that Melissa and her family had to endure for so long. Being stolen at the tender age of 22 months, Melissa had barely spent any time with her parents. Her name was changed to Melanie Warren by her kidnappers to get rid of any sort of trace of her. As Melissa's mother, Ms. Alta Apantenko, was a single mother at the time, struggling financially, she found it difficult to prioritize Melissa in her infancy. But even if her shifts as a waitress took up most of her time, Ms. Alta adored her daughter. Melissa's abduction took a great mental toll on her as she was her first child, and who would be able to handle being separated from their children at such an early age? Baby Melissa was last seen wearing a pink dress with white sandals, according to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System. She had hazel brown eyes and brown hair and weighed 26 pounds, according to the database. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reported that the abduction took place on August 23, 1971. Unable to manage her finances, Ms. Apantenko was looking for someone to babysit her daughter. That August 1971 hot summer day would be the last time anyone saw baby Melissa ever again. The roommate informed the authorities that the unidentified woman who picked up baby Melissa had a bonnet on her head and was wearing white gloves after the child was reported missing. For the Highsmith family, the next 50 years would be filled with suffering. With the little resources at her disposal, Ms. Apantenko did the best she could. She had no intention of losing her job. Thus, Melissa's sister, Sharon Highsmith, said she trusted the person who said they'd care for her child. Ms. Apantenko has carried the guilt of losing Melissa for 50 years. She has also endured local and national allegations that she killed or injured people. In 2019, Melissa's biological mother revealed what the babysitter had told her before taking her child. "I needed a babysitter because I was supporting myself," she said, adding, "You know, I love kids, and I have this huge backyard, and the kids love to play out there." Before turning Melissa over to the unidentified babysitter, Melissa had been in the custody of her mother's roommate, with whom she was living in the Spanish Gate Apartments on East Seminary Drive in Fort Worth. After posting a babysitter's ad in the newspaper, Ms. Apantenko coordinated for a woman to collect Melissa, who was 22 months old, from her roommate while she was at work. Ms. Apantenko had never met the woman. She contacted the police when the woman did not return with baby Melissa. Despite police investigations, which proved futile, the family stated that Ms. Apantenko even faced accusations of harming or killing the child herself. As times passed away with no evidence whatsoever, the Highsmiths took matters into their own hands. Ms. Highsmith and Ms. Del Bosque, who are both 48 years old, recall their parents pursuing leads in Texas even after their family relocated to Illinois in the late 1970s. Every time they did, they would return disappointed, commented Ms. Del Bosque on Monday. "It was heartbreaking for me and our family. It was very emotionally draining." Melissa's family members identified the woman who posed as Melissa's mother as Patricia Sugar Lewis, who currently resides in Missouri. She talked of the suffering and atrocities she suffered at the hands of the lady she thought was her mother and her stepfather in an interview. Her large family started looking for her a week ago since she didn't realize she was adopted. "Although I felt she regretted having me, I assumed she was my biological mother. There was no affection, no intimacy. She told me again and over that I was intellectually handicapped and had brain damage," the woman recalled. Melissa stated, "She doesn't want to focus on the anger, despite having missed a childhood, precious time she can never get back, and time spent apart from her parents and siblings. To live your entire life based on a lie and suffering through events completely out of your control is something that seems unfair to an adolescent," she uttered. "I'm still mad, but I'm going to concentrate on the joy I have left behind, not the suffering I caused. I have to concentrate on moving forward, because God completed this." During Melissa's childhood, her mother put her in special courses, even though her teachers insisted she didn't belong there. She said that her elder and younger brother also lived with her in the house. In contrast to her and her younger brother, her elder brother, with whom she was not close, was treated differently, she said. My father severely mistreated us. It was only my stepfather and I after my younger brother ultimately moved in with my grandma, she said. My mother was emotionally abusive and my stepfather was sexually abusive. She stated that even after all those years of sexual abuse, she was never pregnant. And when she turned 15, she decided to run away from home. Running away at 15 was her second escape attempt. She tried leaving at 14, but it proved to be unsuccessful as she had nowhere to run to, which made it easy for her fake family to track her down, picking back up on the torment where they left her. She never allowed me to go outside and play. She always sheltered me, she explained to people. She claimed the reason for sheltering me was that I was born at home and had brain damage. Why did she even have me if she didn't want me? Questions and the intention behind why Melissa was taken away from her home remain unclear. There seems to be a certain ambiguity in why anyone would specifically target a 22-month-old baby, and why anyone would willingly raise a child like that given the circumstances. After marrying the man she referred to as her first love, she went through a period of immense struggle where they were living off the streets and were practically homeless. It was a constant grapple with fate as she faced unfortunate situations one over the other. Texas records, as reported by the Washington Post, indicate that she faced at least 4 arrests and was charged with misdemeanors connected to prostitution. I engaged in actions I didn't want to do, she conveyed to dailymail.com, but I was providing support for myself and my husband. At 19, Melissa became a mother of 3, but her children were taken away from her and given up for adoption. Little did she know, this one decision would change the trajectory of her life forever. She said she had tubes tied after that and was unable to have any more children. She worked at a bar and a few fast food places and waitressing to support herself after leaving her first husband. Being married young with 3 children taken away adds to the already traumatic life Melissa was experiencing. She went on to have a second marriage, but her husband was in and out of jail for most of the time due to his legal problems and addiction. They were married for 16 years before she decided to end the marriage due to his addiction. She then found love again with another man and had what she called a good marriage for 10 years. She said the relationship ended because of his addiction. She said, I didn't want to go down that path, so I decided to do something different. Somehow Melissa's marriage met the same fate, which was a road down an addiction for her husband. During this period, she became more religious and relied on her faith to get her through and started cleaning churches and eventually people's homes to earn some income. A job that she proudly says she still does today. I couldn't work in a lot of crowds because of PTSD from past events, so I started a cleaning business so I could work one-on-one, which was easier for me. Having to be forced into situations where you would never expect to change Melissa's perspective on life. Somehow, it felt that this everlasting torture for Melissa would never end. The after effects of the trauma she went through would find their way into the tiny details of her life. She remarked that it keeps her occupied because she works 2 or 3 jobs a day. Hiring a private investigator was one way that Jeff Highsmith, who was brought into the world following the horrific disappearance of his sister and his wife, showed how determined they were to find Melissa. Their proactive actions included starting a Facebook group called Help Find Melissa Highsmith, whose main objective was to actively seek out leads or information that could assist in finding her. It is noteworthy that this organization has expanded dramatically over time, reaching over 6,500 members and changing its name to We Found Melissa. The response from the community around them was very motivating, hence why the Highsmith family never lost hope. 3 women who thought they could be Melissa contacted Jeff Highsmith throughout their tenacious search. The center conducting the investigation, however, revealed that DNA testing had shown them not to be his lost sister. According to Jeff, the FBI, Tarrant County, and the Fort Worth Police Department were investigating his mother about his sister's disappearance. My mom was the focus of the police's investigation at all times. He claimed they never looked into it further because they always assumed my mom had something to do with it. I couldn't comprehend. There was no explanation for it. It was annoying, he remarked. According to what I've been told, women's lives were different in 1971. It was a period before Roe v. Wade. The women's movement and the treatment of women was not on par with mine. Ms. Del Bosque summed up the family's unwavering resolve over this protracted and difficult trip by saying, "We just never gave up hope." She emphasized the strength of their family, who stayed steadfastly together in their common goal to keep moving forward in their quest for Melissa. Lisa Jo Schuyler, a clinical laboratory scientist and amateur genealogist, encouraged the family to try a 23andMe DNA test, and her investigative work led to the outcome. The discovery that the father's DNA matched that of the unidentified grandchild was made earlier this year. The family approached Lisa Jo Schuyler, a clinical laboratory scientist and amateur genealogist, this month. "Is this what we think it is?" Schuyler revealed this information on Tuesday. After sifting through the documents, Ms. Schuyler got in touch with a genetic relative of Ms. Walden on Ancestry.com, who provided her with enough details to search public records and identify her in roughly 2 hours. The family posted the message on Facebook at that point. After Melissa's father sent in a DNA sample to 23andMe, 3 individuals were a perfect match. Among those 3 were Joe Brown's and his wife Melanie's children, Melissa being one of them. "I find it amazing and mind-boggling," stated Melissa's younger sister, Sharon Highsmith. "Our parents have been looking for our lost loved one for decades, hiring their labs and investigators, but these DNA tests, which are available to everyone, helped us find them." Melissa declared that she would formally change her name to match the name she was given at birth. Ms. Walden has now met her brother and another sister, Victoria Garner, but she has not yet met Ms. Highsmith, who resides in Madrid, or Ms. Del Bosque of Chicago. They want to get together in Fort Worth during Christmas. Regarding her rediscovered sister, Ms. Highsmith remarked, "Her life wasn't what she thought it was. At this moment, Melissa just wants to enjoy being with her family again, a family that always loved her and never gave up on her. I asked the mother, who I believe to have raised me, if she had anything important to share with me before I met my new family. She claimed to have paid $500 for me on the street. I was astounded. I had a spinning head. I stayed up late." Melissa claimed she never told me, but whenever she told me she had something to tell me that she had been wanting to tell me for a long time, that's when I told her I knew already. Melissa married John Brown, her soulmate, earlier in April 2022. The touching reunion that happened when Melissa first met her birth mother was shared on Facebook by Brown on November 27, 2022. "For the first time in 51 years, my lovely wife Melissa Brown is meeting her mother," he wrote. The two embrace and cry in each other's arms in the video. "I've seen every photo from our childhood," Melissa tells her mother. To catch a better glimpse of her long-lost daughter, her mother takes off her sunglasses and says how she used to be young and beautiful. She said, "I changed as I grew older and missed all these years with you. Perhaps we can learn more about one another." Melissa inquires, "Do you reside in Fort Worth?" "Fort Worth is where I live," her mother states, "away from you for 17 minutes. She first meets her father and Melissa, a cousin she later learned was named after her. During the heartwarming encounter, the family visited Charleston, South Carolina, to look into a tip that Melissa had been spotted there. Based on pictures of Melissa as a baby, a computer model was used to identify her as the adult Melissa would look like 50 years later. The family was met with disappointment when they arrived. At that point, they became connected to her children and began considering DNA testing. Jeff recounted, "We had coffee with her on Thanksgiving night, and when I gazed upon her, I had an overwhelming sense of recognition and certainty. It was as if a deep intuition within me was confirmed," he shared during an interview with Fox. He went on to emphasize that the woman they had met bore a striking resemblance to their mother. Sharon, on the other hand, expressed her family's frustration, stating how her family has endured the consequences of mishandling by agencies involved in this case. She underscored their determination to focus on the future, saying that at this moment, their primary goal was to connect with Melissa, embrace her as a part of the family, and compensate for the 5 decades they had lost. Sharon, along with her siblings and parents, extended words of encouragement to other families facing the anguish of missing loved ones. They urged these families to hold on to their faith and not lose hope, emphasizing the importance of belief and perseverance in their journey. The former Melanie Walden legally changed both her first and last names in Tarrant County, Texas, in front of a judge with the support of her biological parents. Melissa Highsmith is who she is now. A prolonged standing ovation broke out in the courtroom. Jeffrey Highsmith, Melissa's father, thanked the judge. The judge then got to his feet, removed his glasses, and joined in the cheers before posing for a picture with the happy family. Melissa's sister, Rebecca Highsmith Del Bosque, posted on Facebook, saying that the results were exactly what they already knew. They had the official confirmation that she was theirs. In her post, she talked about how Highsmith is their daughter, sister, aunt, cousin, niece. She also said that they are thankful for all the love and support they received over the years, especially since they found Melissa. Melissa claimed that although she was hesitant at first, her now brother Jeff eventually convinced her to take a DNA test. Jeff convinced Melissa to take the test to be 100% sure, even though she felt insecure about being the right match, but he offered to pay for it, so she agreed. Last year, she declared her intention to formally revert to Melissa and wed again, with her father leading her down the aisle in front of her entire family. The constant struggle Melissa faced finally turned into good karma. She was able to catch the silver lining in the cloud and find a place in her life where she found her true family, who were able to shower her with nothing but love, something she had been deprived of and something she sought for her entire life. We've come to the end of today's discussion on the Melissa Highsmith case. If you found this video insightful, please express your support by liking it and subscribing to my channel for more engaging true crime content. Your viewership means a lot. Until we meet again, take care.